So, pain and depression, vicious cycle. They often occur together because pain can cause depression. Conversely, depression can cause pain. And so you end up with this just cycle of pain and depression, and how do you break that? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So depression can cause pain in unexplained ways in your joints, in limbs, headaches, backaches, and this is often a chronic type pain. And we internalize a lot of our emotions and that stress, and that can cause us to express that depression in physical manifestations. So, actual pain in our bodies that don't have any other explanation for it. You can't find a source for your backache or why your, joints hurt or the headaches that you're having. And conversely, when you have pain, especially chronic type pain, this can cause depression because think about it. You've got an increase of stress on your body and mentally. So, physically and mentally, you've got an increase of stress going on. You often will have trouble sleeping, trouble concentrating. It's more difficult to do things, whether that's your daily tasks or whether it just, bothers you for, you know, bigger things. Often our self-esteem takes a hit because of this, because we can't do the things that we want to do, or we're not able to focus and concentrate like we did. And so we're not as good at our job. And, just hurting all the time, it can be we can feel like a burden to those around us. And we don't want to talk about it because we don't want to burden other people because what are we going to talk about? It's there. It's there day after day after day. So actually chronic pain, people who suffer from chronic pain are actually 4 times more likely to develop depression or have their depression symptoms worsen because of this chronic pain. So it's a significant issue. Also, the number of body parts that are affected by pain increases your chances of getting depression or having your depression symptoms worsen as well. So, why does this happen? Well, biologically speaking, scientifically, in our body, pain and depression actually share the same pathways as certain neurotransmitters like serotonin and norepinephrine. And we've also discovered how much our gut is linked to our depression, which is something that science hadn't recognized even 5 years ago. And this is something that the science is still kind of figuring out as to how to address it. Um, we've heard about probiotics and prebiotics and the importance of eating healthy. And it's not just to have a healthy body, but it's also to have a healthy mind. So, in terms of treatments, making sure that your gut is balanced and that you're getting the proper nutrients is actually critical to helping to control your depression. They also believe that systemic inflammation, so inflammation that you have throughout your body because of the chronic pain, also play a role in the increase in depression symptoms or in causing the depression. And the science is it seems, every year there's new stuff that they're discovering about depression, about the sources of depression. And, chronic pain, we have learned that our brain perceives chronic pain differently than it perceives acute pain. So that chronic pain where your back, it just hurts all the time, right? Versus I break my toe, which, I did. And I bound and determined to, I think, break the same one because I can't step around my kitchen table to save my soul, it seems. But what happens with chronic pain is your brain is trying to protect yourself from this pain. So any little thing, it's like, whoa, warning bells, warning bells, warning bells. We got pain, we got pain. And so it is overactive in regards to recognizing pain and reacting to it and telling you about it. And there's there's been some really interesting research. One of the reasons that I wanted to bring this up, in terms of treatment, we've got your typical cognitive cognitive behavioral therapy, so talk therapy, which they have found has been effective for people in not only managing depression symptoms, but also in managing pain. Medication, of course, relaxation techniques. When we're able to relax our minds and get our minds and our brain waves kind of acting differently, we can ignore the pain actually. It I don't know all the science behind it, but basically, your brain is not thinking about it. And so it's not sending those warning bells off to you constantly. So any relaxation techniques that you can learn, anything like breathing and yoga, all the typical stuff that we've talked about. They found hypnosis is actually very helpful. I know that one of our subs has spoken about his journey with hypnosis and how that has definitely helped with his pain. And it is proven to be effective for depression as well. To my knowledge, have never been effectively hypnotized. Any of these YouTube videos that say, let's do sleep hypnosis or, relaxation hypnosis or whatever. We count back from 10, we walk down the stairs or we walk up the stairs and, my brain's still active and thinking. I'm not a very visual person in my mind. So it's really hard for me to get into that space, I think. So, but some people find relief with that. And, whether it's a professional who is going through the hypnosis with you, which I think is probably the most effective because they can guide you. They know about, what to say and how they're guiding you away from the pain or the depression or whatever. But there are YouTube videos out there that if they do nothing else, they're often very relaxing. So you can use it just as another relaxation technique. There is a fascinating new gadget out there, I'll call it. And this is by a university in Australia. So the University of New South Wales, Sydney, has pioneered something called Pain Wave. And what it is, and they've done it as they've 3D printed basically like what looks like a VR headset, and for only like $300. So the idea is that they would sell this unit, and it's got a couple of electrodes, I think, that come down and are put on your head or whatever, and it's monitoring your brain waves. And they've only done a really small study right now They're getting ready to launch another study that has like 224 people, I think, um, spinal cord injury people. And they're testing this mainly for nerve pain right now because what they've been able to do is identify these abnormal brain patterns that are firing off, that are going um, in terms of how it recognizes nerve pain. So you wear this headset and they've got this game that you do basically through the VR, just like you would, any other, virtual reality. It's a virtual reality headset. And you play this game. And what it does, they say um, it teaches the users, I'll just read this. It teaches the users to regulate abnormal brain activity that is linked to chronic nerve pain. And what it's doing by the game that you're playing and how you do it, it is actually retraining your brain and creating different neural pathways and trying to, it says, regulate your emotions, which it has to do with, I think, theta waves and delta waves and, stuff that gets way farther, beyond me. But it's helping to redo all these pathways so your brain isn't constantly going, warning bell, you've got pain, you've got pain, you've got pain. Because, like I said, when you have chronic pain, your brain interprets that differently than if you have an acute pain, if you just, injure yourself. And that's why it can be so much more difficult to deal with, because not only are you trying to get rid of the source of your pain, but you also are having to calm your brain down from thinking about this chronic pain and how it's reacting to what it's sensing as danger, pain. So it's a real tricky thing, chronic pain. But I read about this the other day and I thought, man, how awesome would that be for people with nerve pain? And, I don't know if they have to then identify specifically for, if you've got a different type of chronic pain, if it's not, related to nerve. Um, let's say you've got chronic pain that has been brought about because of depression. It doesn't have a particular cause, a biological source, right? That you can pinpoint in the body and saying, this is causing you the pain. We fix that and then we'll fix the pain. Or somebody who has fibromyalgia, where you've just got, pain everywhere. So I don't know if it would be different for a different type of pain, but that they're doing research in this regard, I just think is absolutely fabulous.